Alright, welcome back. So, now you know how to weigh out solids with a balance using a weigh boat. You know how to measure out liquids using a graduated cylinders. Now we're ready to start the lab. Again, the instructions are posted. Make sure you do check those out. Follow them step by step and you should do well. So the first step is measure out 8 grams of alum in the weigh boat and pour it into the flask. We've already done that. So you just take and you kind of push on the weigh boat a little bit to give it a little nice funnel effect, and we pour that right into the flask. Okay, so that's a good thing. Step 2, measure out 25 milliliters of water and pour it in the flask. We already did that. Now let's pour it in there. So there we go. Now our goal for today is to dissolve the solid into the water so that it becomes a solution where the solid is dissolved into the liquid. Alright, now to do that we have to add heat. So now we're going to be lighting our fire. Now, in all cases, state of Pennsylvania requires this, and plus it's a good idea to wear safety glasses. So in the drawer labeled goggles, open the drawer up and select your style of goggle you'd like to wear. These are very sporty. I think I'll wear those. And that protects our eyes, and that way we're not in violation of any laws. You will take the alcohol burner, set it off to the side. Your flask is currently on something called the tripod that just helps support it up. You'll take your lighter and light your fire. You light it by holding the flame down near the bottom of the copper loop. This is an alcohol burner. It burns alcohol as a fuel, and that works out pretty well. Once the flame settled down a little bit, you just set it up there on the wooden block so that it is now in contact with the bottom of the flask. Now it says to heat the solution to 80 degrees Celsius. So you need to use a thermometer. So make sure you check out the thermometer. You can read the scale on it. Never drop a thermometer into a flask. You gently set it in there. And now we just get to sit and wait and watch the flask heat up. You might periodically, to speed things up, want to take your your micro spatula. To stir, you remove the thermometer. You stir to help the dissolving process. Then you put it back in to see that, and we'll wait till it hits 80 degrees. Okay, so we've been heating things up. The thermometer is just about at 80 when the red alcohol mixture rising in the tube hits 80, which it just did now. Kind of hard to see in the video, but trust me, it's there. You now have to take and move on to the next step, or at the desired temperature. So, very carefully, slide the wooden block out with the alcohol burner, and don't blow it out like a birthday cake. Cap it by setting the cap on there, and that takes care of that. Now we have to remove the thermometer very carefully. It's going to be hot, so don't touch that end there. Lay it on the table so it can start to cool off. And now we take and look at what are the next steps. We now are supposed to take the tongs that help us grasp it because it's well hot. And we're going to pour it into the Petri dish, a low flat dish. The larger diameter is the lid. The smaller diameter is the base. So take the lid off. We're going to be setting it on a styrofoam plate. So there we go. Now you very carefully then will grasp the flask and hold it like that. That makes it nice and safe. And now we're going to pour the solution into the Petri dish. So let's just pour that in there. There we go. We poured it in, and then we set the flask down. Again, it's hot, so don't touch it. And now you put the lid back on. And now we have to wait for what we're looking for and calling seed crystals to grow. Now they won't grow right away, so it's going to take overnight. So all we do now is find our drawer, whatever period class number you are, period 3, 4, 5, 8, or 9. Let's say you're in period 4. We open the drawer up, and we very carefully pick up the solution so as not to spill it, slide it over, and then very carefully set it down without spilling it into the drawer for safekeeping. So there we go. We've got it in the drawer. Then we slowly close it so as not to splash it. And now, hopefully, the dissolved molecules of aluminum potassium sulfate will rearrange themselves. The solid will start to literally fall out of the solution as it cools, because cold water can't hold as much dissolved solid as hot water can. And they will fall out in such a way as to form a regular repeating pattern called crystals. And now it's cleanup time. Follow the instructions for cleanup. Again, remember this thing's hot, so don't be touching that. But to clean up, you basically just rinse things out, turn the water on, get it nice and slow, rinse out your flask using the tongs. That works out well. That's good. Now that's cleaned out. Rinse off your micro spatula so that the solution is off of that. Carefully rinse off the thermometer to get that stuff off of there, and clean up any spills with your ShamWow. It's amazing, except it doesn't work as good as they say on TV. And then simply rinse your ShamWow off, squeeze out the excess water, hang her back up, put everything back the way it was when you started, have a seat, and we'll see what happens tomorrow. Alrighty then.